Hello, my beautiful people. I hope everyone is doing well. Today we have Kelly Bennett. She's based in the beautiful city of New York. She's a creator director, a curator, and a content creator for lifestyle brands. She has been doing this over a decade, and her experience and time in the industry makes her one of the best. I'm really glad to have her here, get to know her a bit better, and see, what can we learn about the industry and her experience on it. So, sin más ni más, Kelly Bennett. Hi, Kelly. Welcome. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing well. How are you?
Fine, thank you. I'm really happy to have you here.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm very grateful. I love what you've built for your community, and I'm happy to be here today.
Thank you so much. So, can you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you and what do you do?
Sure. So, my name is Kelly Bennett, and I work with really cool creative people around the world, and I help them turn their products into a brand and a small business. So I work with them on coming up with their brand story, how to market their brand, how to curate really engaging social media that builds community and really tells a story, and then helps them organize what their small business looks like. So, with marketing, sales, and also to the behind the scenes of making sure that you personally feel supported and that you feel grounded and creative, and just having that person by your side while you're navigating entrepreneurship and small business. So I've been doing that for many years, over a decade in this space. But the last year I took a leap. I left my 9 to 5 as a marketing director, and I launched this new evolution of my business. And that's what I'm doing today.
How is the transfer of being working for someone to being an entrepreneur or working by yourself?
Totally. So I've always been an entrepreneur and I've taken jobs here and there. So to be honest with you, I had more of a struggle working a 9 to 5 and being in that structure again. I originally was hired as a freelancer,
Mhm.
and there was honestly, like, it was like health benefits and stuff like that to be an employee. And so I was like, okay, like, it's not usually what I do. I'm used to making my own rules and having my own structure. So I did that for a year, and I came to realize that I like to make my own path, and I love to have my own structure, and I love to create how I create. So for me, honestly, working the 9 to 5 was more of a struggle, but I have to say, like, something that is really helpful as an entrepreneur is I am very self-disciplined. So I like having a structure for my business, but it's one that works with my creativity and one that works with just how I like to live. And when you're an entrepreneur, you're able to map that out and to make your own schedule essentially. And that's what I love about it. But taking the 9 to 5 and doing that project, I did learn a lot. But it made me also relearn how much I love working for myself. Um, which taking the leap was scary, but I'm really glad I did.
More time to be creative, per se, right?
Yeah, like this morning, I went to a local coffee shop and I journaled and I brainstormed because after launching my business, I didn't plan on launching my business. It was just through me feeling this need that I had to take the leap and had to take the jump last year. And now that I'm a year into it, how I really want to structure it, be a bit more intentional about that. But I was able to do that this morning, and sit and drink coffee and journal and brainstorm and have that space, and not have to ask a boss for the morning to do that, right? So
Yeah.
that is a perk of being an entrepreneur, is that you have that space
Mhm.
to be creative, but also knowing what to do when you have that space. Sometimes people get overwhelmed with it. So I like to have structures and practices and boundaries, but also allow myself to have just that time to write and to think and to listen. So I try to do both.
That's interesting. So, Kelly, tell us a fun fact about yourself.
A fun fact about myself.
Mhm.
Well, I'm from Long Island originally, but I've been living back and forth to Las Vegas for the past 16 years. I've been going back and forth. And one of those times, well, a couple of those times I lived abroad as well. I lived in China
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, and I absolutely loved it. And so for me, I've always enjoyed living in new places and traveling and exploring and meeting creative people and studying business. So I guess that's a cool fact about me.
That's wonderful. I didn't know that you lived abroad. That's wonderful. That's really nice.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, for sure. So, tell us a little bit about small business incubator. Sorry, a small business
Yeah.
incubator.
So it's something that I launched a few months ago, and essentially it's what I've been doing for all these years, but just creating more of a container for it.
Mhm.
So essentially, I work with people. It's online, so I work with people all around the world, and I help them really incubate, if you will, their ideas and make it into a product and a product line and a brand and a business. And then I also have co working and weekly classes and calls and strategies and really all the tools that they need to build their brand and business. And then I also connect them with other people like someone who's a web designer or a lawyer or an accountant who could help them in those areas that I don't focus on. Also, too, I started a shop on my website to sell the brands that are being built within the incubator. I
Mhm.
do interviews with the members, I feature them on my blog, my podcast, emails. So I really think of it as this cool space online that someone could come and join and have all the tools that they need to build a brand and small business, and then also have support with media and selling on a platform and marketing so that they can really take off and just do what they love, and have that really great supportive system to build from.
So, what would you say that is the difference between small business incubator and other classes that can be out there?
Sure. So a small business incubator usually means that there's different opportunities, say for capital or for skill sharing. So I like to include the fact that there's media support, there's a platform to sell product, um, there's media exposure, and just having that access in an all-in-one versus kind of like piecemealing different classes. It's
Mhm.
kind of like that all-in-one type of experience.
That's wonderful. You just touched on it a couple minutes ago. You said that you have a podcast. Tell us a little bit more about it.
I do, and I've been reworking it and testing it out for so long.
Mhm.
But essentially, I think where I'm landing with it is that it's interviews with really cool creative people who've built a brand and a small business, and essentially I ask them like how they did it and what's their story and
Yeah.
what are they working on now and what were the lessons learned. And I just personally love the behind the scenes of
Thank
how
you.
people, right, like how people are doing it, like how did you do this, how did you build this, how did this all happen. And then also talk about projects that they have coming out, things they have in the works, things that you could shop now and support. So that's where it's going. But essentially, interviews. I love interviewing people. So that is the podcast.
That's wonderful. So tell us, what is the part that you feel more passionate about when it comes to your career?
What do I feel the most passionate about?
Mhm.
Um, I personally love taking products like cool create like creative lifestyle products that I have, say, in my home or that I use personally, and I know the person behind them, and I see where they could really take their brand and their business, and just working with them behind the scenes to take this product and really build a following and build a community and put it out there and to make sales and to really do it in a way that feels aligned with the person who's making the
Mhm.
product, and using all my over a decade of experience in marketing and social media and developing businesses and teaching them how to apply it for themselves and making a unique plan that works for them personally, and seeing that person do it and
Wow.
launch and grow and build, and I absolutely love that.
That's so wonderful, Kelly. So tell
Yeah,
us the difference, like, because you have been in New York. Well, right, you're in New York right now, but you
I
have
am. I'm
lived
back
in,
home.
what's the name? Las Vegas as well. So tell us what are the difference between those two cities?
Totally. So, being from Long Island, I always wanted to live in New York City. Like, that was always my goal.
Mhm.
And I've lived in Manhattan before, I lived in Queens. And to me, it was always like, you have to know what you're doing and know why you're there. And it's, it sounds corny, but it's like if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. But for me, it's like, it's the best of the best. It's super innovative, it's
Mhm.
competitive, and it will kick your ass for sure. Like, you have to have a focus, right? Where, say, in Las Vegas, because it's more of an emerging market,
Mhm.
um, the energy is a bit different. It's more of like, okay, what's your ideas? What are you working on? What do you want to dream up? And people, it's a little bit more, say, like chiller pace, so that people maybe will like work
Create.
through it with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really supportive, and not that New York isn't supportive, but it's so big here, where Las Vegas, the creative community and the small business community is pretty, intimate.
Mhm.
Um, but the Vegas community, honestly, is the reason why I'm able to grow and have a business. Like, that's really genuinely where everything started taking off for me. So I will forever be grateful for the community there. And I just really, really appreciate both. So I got to a space where in Las Vegas, I felt like I did all the things I set out to do and more. And then I wanted to challenge myself and see how I could grow it to another level. So I was like, where can I go that would really challenge me and, make me want to explore different things and experiment in different things, and kept coming back to New York City. And I had been always wanting to come back home. So it feels like a good fit for me right now.
It completely makes sense. I mean, New York is so beautiful. How I said I was just there a couple of days ago and I loved it.
It's the energy, right? It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
just walking down the street, it's like so many different people and ideas and concepts, and you're just like, you
Yeah.
know,
You
it's a
do get
lot, but it's
inspired
cool.
by everything.
It
Yeah.
really is. Yeah.
I literally, the first time that I went to New York by myself was when I was in high school. And every time that I wanted to just take a breather, I will always go to New York. And it was so
Mhm.
beautiful. Every time that I've been to New York, it was a really nice experience.
That's awesome. I love hearing that.
Yeah. So tell us a fun fact that you learned recently.
I learned recently, I'll share about myself because I'm
Mhm.
always looking at learning more about myself. And I realized I love to be alone most of the time. Ironically, I love living in big cities, but I love being by myself, and I love listening to myself and like taking the time to like journal and sit and have a space that's quiet and to myself. And I realized like that is the best way where I work and create, and just take care of myself. So that was an interesting sign that I recently really discovered. I was like, oh, this really is how I work best and feel best. So that was interesting.
That's wonderful. So, any last words? Anything else that you would like to let people know?
I would just say if you have an idea for a brand or a business, if you are kind of sitting on something and you're like, "Oh, I really want to do it, but I don't know." It's something like starting with a social media page or starting with just start making stuff and testing it and exploring it and experimenting and allowing people to know that you have a goal or allow people to know that you're working on something. I think so many people get stuck of just like how to start or how to do it perfectly.
Mm.
And I feel just over the years, what I found for myself and so many people that I know and have worked with as well is you'll find answers through action and just allowing yourself to explore and experiment, and being curious about it and having fun with it and allowing it to come together is a really much better way of going about small business and creating a brand for yourself versus like stressing out and wanting it to be perfect because we know nothing is perfect, and you'll find those answers as you start taking action.
That's a really good message. Thank you so much. And
Oh, you're so
how can
welcome.
people find you?
So I hang out the most on Instagram, and my handle is at with Kelly Bennett.
Mhm,
Everything is on my website with kellybennett.com. I'm in the midst of redoing my website, but everything is there.
mhm.
And if you do have a lifestyle product that you want to create a brand for and a small business around and really have that support, I would love to connect with you in my small business incubator. And yeah, I have my weekly interviews I do on Instagram Live, and then that's what I'm pulling for my podcast as well. So every Thursday, I interview a really cool creative and ask about the behind the scenes of their small business. So it's always good to learn also and connect with new people. And also, one last thing is adding more brands to my website so you could shop the small businesses that I work with as well. And I think that's it. That's all the things.
Well, Kelly, thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure speaking to you.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care, okay?
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.